Dude, she's...
Welcome to Blank Tape. I'm Kurt.
And I'm Max.
And I'm Steven.
And I'm Anson, and this is Volume 1, Track 9, Questionable Tempos and Chicken Chimichangas, the Offbrand story.
Recorded on Wednesday, September 26, 2018. Put on your headphones and let's jam.
So this is a special episode. We've got twice as many people on the line today as we usually do. Kurt, why don't you introduce our special guests?
Sure. Well, today we have with us the other illustrious members of the famous pop punk band from Houston, Texas, known as Offbrand. We have the man on the skins, the man who does all the drumming, technical beat engineer, Max Metzler. And then we're also joined by the man who did most of our mixing and recording and a lot of our song tune smithing. And just overall fancy pants, Tom DeLonge lookalike, that would be Steve Pavlik there on guitar.
Hello. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's really great to be talking to all you guys again. Is this the part where I say something about Blue Apron, or?
Oh, yeah. We're not quite there yet, but if we can get our sponsorship numbers... or if we can get our numbers up for sponsorship, we'll definitely. I know I'm aiming for the Whataburger money. So if we can name drop Whataburger about 10,000 times, maybe we'll get some of their money.
Right, and maybe depends. I mean, Whataburger's usually a late night thing, so.
Well, do we need to take care of any show notes, Anson, before we really get into the meat and bones of this? Because I know I did have some corrections from our last episode.
Yeah, let's hear it. What's
sure.
right?
Okay. So I know at the last episode that we did on the didgeridoo episode track, I said Daredevil when I meant Punisher. The Cardinal's name is pronounced Q-pitch, not Kolpitch. The quotes that I referenced are both misattributed. They're nice, but they're not actually factual quotes. I combined the books Orthodoxy and Mere Christianity into one book by mistake. The sole Catholic signature on the Declaration of Independence belonged to Charles Carroll, and the name Thomas Carroll came from that National Treasure movie with Nicolas Cage and John Voight and all that.
Understandable. It's a great flick.
Yeah.
So that's all the corrections that I had, and did we also want to quickly mention a news tidbit of the week? I know the big thing I just want to mention is we finally have a trailer for Captain Marvel, and holy cow, is it awesome, and I'm ready to go see it on International Women's Day 2019, March 8th.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know they were doing an International Women's Day release. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they're already beating DC on that front. It's like, oh, you may have gotten the first female superhero movie out in the summer, but we did ours on International Women's Day.
Nice to see Marvel finally win one. I've been hoping they would for a while now.
Yeah. My news tidbit of the week is that the Twitter API has been turned off. So what that means is an API is an application programming interface, and that just means a fancy way for different parts of software to talk to each other. And so when Twitter first got started, it was a very open platform, meaning any developer could come along and use their API. And so let's say you wanted to make your own Twitter app, you could do that by, making some requests to the Twitter servers and getting like your tweets and stuff, and you could show them in a fancy little interface. And a lot of the initial iPhone apps that were first created were like Twitter clients. And so it was a great way for developers to like try something new, like try to learn how to get into making iOS apps and stuff. And a lot of early design innovations on the iPhone were created in the service of making a Twitter client. So Twitter was very important to developers back in the day, and kind of a good way to, like a playground and stuff. But recently they've been trying to actually make money, and you can't make money if a lot of developers are having fun using your API to do stuff and not really giving anything back to you. And so it makes sense from a business perspective, but as a user it's kind of sad. Twitter disabled some of the most important features that can make third-party clients really fun. So if you're using a different app other than Twitter for your tweets, like I was using Twitterific or Tweetbot and stuff, or some other fancy ones, like their abilities have become limited, and that's kind of sad because Twitter is now turned its back on its roots and is now a corporation just trying to make more money. And we're going to stick it to the man. Just kidding, I don't know. But it's just kind of interesting news development in the tech world that everyone's kind of a little sad about. But that's my tidbit for the week.
Oh, man. So first everyone gets mad at Facebook, and now everyone's going to get mad at Twitter. How are we going to communicate with each other? Are we all going to go back to MySpace or something?
Hey, I think Tom is a stand-up guy, and I would not mind that at all.
Yeah, I miss having him as a friend.
Yes, I do
He was
too.
everybody's friend.
He was my first friend.
Yeah, isn't that, Anson, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that how MySpace worked? Like Tom would automatically become your first friend before you found anybody else?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, in real life too, not just the internet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had Whataburger last week.
Just me? Oh, there you go.
So, anyway.
Nice. Well, so the topic is Offbrand, which is our band that we had in high school. We were active from 2003 to about 2005, and so
that was like freshman through junior year, right? Like freshman through junior year of high school for us, or so, or
it would have
for junior.
The earliest it could have started would have been the spring semester of my freshman year, which would have been the 8th grade year for Max and Steve. Mm-hmm. Or were you guys already in high school when we started?
I think we were. I think we were in high school by the time we started Offbrand. Me and Steve started playing well before that, though. In fact, actually, I told this story a lot. I joined a band with Steve and another friend of ours, and signed up to play drums, and then realized I should probably learn how to play the drums. So got a free kit from my cousin and set it up in Steve's house. And
the blue drums.
The famous
old blue,
bright baby blue drum set with cymbals that I think might literally have been made of garbage.
I think at one point we actually tried to put kitchen pots over there because we thought they might have sounded better than those cymbals.
Yeah, we did, and yeah, that was probably. I know Kurt and Steve had been playing together for a while as well, but
Steve and I had a band back when I was in 5th grade and Steve was in 4th grade.
Yeah, I saw some
the Tigers.
Video of that.
We were the Tigers, man. We had hit songs such as the School Blues.
I remember that.
Nintendo Rocks, I think, was another big song.
That was
so we had two songs, and I remember we played for Steve's parents, and both sets of my grandparents were actually there. And your sister Rebecca emceed for us. She introduced us, and we came out. I had my surfer bowl haircut, and I played on Steve's toy drums, and Steve played on the guitar.
Well, it was actually a toy guitar, and I do remember, so, yeah, we only had 2 songs, but after the first song, we went behind the garage and ate popcorn for our intermission, and then we came back and played the next song, which I'd imagine they were probably about 30 seconds long each at that point.
But hey, that's what started the spark. So years later, that we could get together with Offbrand. Okay, because I was actually worried trying to be like, if I can remember the timelines right. But I guess when you have the rest of the band here, it's easier to kind of make sense of things. So okay, so if you guys were already in high school, then the earliest we could have potentially started would have been the summer of 2003, which makes sense because I think that's when we first started practicing. And then, because I think that's when the Pirates of the Caribbean movie first came out, the Curse of the Black Pearl. We may or may not have all gone together to go see that, ? I don't remember.
Kind of familiar?
I don't know. I'd have to check the transcript on that one. But
does anyone have a receipt from that movie?
I used to have movie stubs, but I'm pretty sure they got shredded in the paper trash. There's only so many
by the IRS.
There's only so many ticket stubs you can stick on a cork board before the thumbtacks can't handle it anymore.
Yeah.
think maybe the point is that Offbrand wasn't so much founded as it just sort of slowly coalesced over a period of time.
Yeah. Yeah, of a lot of things. I mean, some of us learning instruments and some of us just...
Yeah, I had to learn bass because I know Anson's mentioned it before here on the podcast. I think when we were first starting, I was only going to be vocals, and I think I turned to Anson, and I was like, Anson, you're like one of the best bass players that I know. You should play bass in our band. But we practiced at Steve's house.
There were only two problems. One was I didn't have an electric bass, and two was the rehearsals were not in my neighborhood, and because of a weird district layout, I lived about 20 minutes away from the school and from everybody else, so it wasn't feasible as a young lad. I didn't have a car or anything to get over to rehearsals and everything, so although I much regretted, I had to turn it down, and so Kurt picked up the bass instead.
Well, there was also the restraining order, but... I'm totally
Anson had against Steve.
Yeah, exactly.
But Anson, being a computer whiz, was gracious enough to make our first band website, which was offbrand.tk.
Yeah,
I actually...
back in the days.
Wow,
Sorry?
that... Oh, no, I'm saying that just... I just remember that now that you mentioned that, the TK and all that.
Yeah, it was back in the day when you would use some random website like Builder, and you could like make your site and everything and put it together. And I'm trying to think of the name that I used. I'm sure it'll come to me eventually. But what you would then do is get a redirect. These fancy countries had just come online with their special domain suffixes. Like .tk was some Pacific island or something that had this cool extension, and so you could go. They had a service for free where you could go like get a redirect, and you would type in offbrand.tk, and it would redirect to your little GeoCities or web whatever it was website. And so I got offbrand.tk because it was super cool and edgy for our website.
So we were being redirected like from some small Pacific island with a server on it, and then it would come back to Texas. That's funny.
If that,
I will say a large part of the appearance of legitimacy that our band had was down to Anson. The website was probably the best part of anything we produced.
It was the most believable thing.
we had a MySpace, guys.
Tom was there. I mean, I don't know about anybody else on our MySpace page, but we did have one follower.
The only time I remember anything bad happening with the MySpace, Maybe this was a kid. I know this was a friend of Steve's for sure. I'm not so sure about Max, but the short Ryan guy. He had I know exactly where you're getting at this. I think Ryan, quote unquote, hacked our MySpace page and like put a bunch of MS Paint edited photos of us on our own MySpace page.
I don't remember this.
Well, I do remember this.
I freaked out and was like, I was like having a nervous breakdown. And then I finally wrested control back and got rid of those photos. But I don't know if it was because maybe Ryan's still out there. Maybe he's a fan listening. I don't know. But
I think the thing to remember is that they hate us because they ain't us.
Oh, yeah.
That must. I think that's exactly what that was.
So I'm looking at notes that Anson's live typing right now, and he's asking if the MySpace page is still online. And I think once we got to the end of our run as a band, I think I ended up deleting the MySpace. So I don't think there's any remnants.
I'm fact checking that right now.
Yes, it is. MySpace online?
Oh my God, I go there all the time. I seriously do.
No, MySpace is still active, but I think I deleted our account. So if you try to look for Offbrand, our band, I don't think it's there. Plus, there might be some other off-brand that exists now that uses it, and they're not us. So, therefore, like, finally, it locked. It's free now. We can use it. So,
but they can't have .tk though.
Nope. I think I think somewhere I have some screenshots of what our old website used to look like, if not the actual files itself. So I'm going to look. After we're done recording, I'm going to look for those files and see if I can put a screenshot of the our website in the show notes.
That would be awesome.
This is probably a good time for a shout-out to a fellow named Gus who designed our logo.
Yes.
Did some,
That's
some
right.
free graphic design work.
Yeah, I know Anson and I were talking about this earlier today because I made sure Anson got copies of our songs, and Anson was sharing this with the guys. Anson was like, "Oh, maybe we could actually release our songs as like bonus episodes." And then I was worried if someone would, me just checking everything. Oh, someone's gonna just listen to our song and steal it, and then they're gonna make it better and say, "Oh yeah, we totally wrote this." But Anson assured me that no, all the data stuff that's in the file would still be there, so it would still say Offbrand, and it would have that logo, which I was like, "Oh yeah, Gus designed it," and I was commenting how it looked very Weezer-like because it's just it's a black O with two mirrored Fs in the front of it.
I know I heard this, I guess, not necessarily a debate, but apparently we might have ripped off Fear Factory, I think is the thing that I heard a couple times with that logo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was something like, I think it was Fear Factory or something like that, but there's definitely something, and I actually looked into it, and it was very close. Yeah, I don't know if we need to be doing too much of that logo right now on the internet.
Oh, yeah? Well, I know my dad made us a canvas backdrop. I don't know if he still has it or not in the garage, but I know, when we would do our garage shows and stuff, like we'd have our canvas banner hanging behind us, and we look so cool.
I remember that.
The logo is like you might have said this already, but it's a circle like for an O, and then it has two F's in the middle, and one of the F on the left is facing left, and the F on the right is facing to the right, so it's like two backwards F's. Or one backwards F. And when I was in college, there was a organization for freshmen called the Freshman Frontier, and they were having an event, and so they started putting these two Fs all over campus that looked just like the Offbrand logo. And so I was flipping out. I was like, an Offbrand coming to Baylor? But it was not, unfortunately.
Oh, man. Oh, and I remember with that, my mom got a deal where she got us some T-shirts made, so... Believe it or not, I still have my Off-Brand T-shirt, and I use it as a sleep shirt, or like if I got to go work out or something, or do some intensive hiking or something. I still have an Off-Brand shirt that I wear because I think mine was like an extra large or something, so I could still use it.
You were very tall even back then, but and I think I remember there was a couple, like maybe two prototypes we just did iron-ons with. That just said Off-Brand, didn't have any cool logos, but I do know the shirt you're talking about.
You had the custom one where you just ironed on like the regular letters on a black T-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where that is, but I think I actually do have one of the white ones still in my closet at home, at my parents' house.
Nice.
I had one, and I put felt letters under it that said Webmaster. I ironed those on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's part of the crew, man. So... well, I guess we already kind of covered everybody's... Well, I mean, I know I mentioned it, but just backtracking a little. So, I mean, what did everyone do in the band? I know we kind of covered it a little bit, but maybe, like, any stories or anything in particular when it came to your instrument. So, Max, I mean, I know... So, you were on the drums. You had Baby Blue drums, and then eventually we're here in his studio... of his house right now, and he's got the Black Pearl drum kit, which is, I think, what we ended the band with, and so he still has those.
Nice.
They've done me well for a while. I've replaced some of the cymbals and upgraded some of the hardware, but still rocking the Black Pearl. So
any particular memories when it came to the drums when we were all in the band?
Yeah, I mean, I just remember, across our first couple shows and all our early practices, I was playing on the old Blue kit, and I mean, like Steve said, we might as well have been playing on old pots and stuff. Like it was pretty rough. The drums were not tuned; they were really, the snare was like just a tom that had kind of a fizzle to it at the end. The cymbals, sounded like you were playing on hubcaps or whatever. But I remember when I got the Black Pearl kit, and it was like I felt like I had stepped up. It was like everything's different now. Playing a real drum set.
It was night and day. That thing sounded great. The newer one, the Black
Pearl. Yeah, I remember Steve being very excited too, and that was like once we had that, I think that was when we realized like Okay, maybe we can try and do more than just like play, for our friends who we've like asked over to our house.
Yeah,
being a literal garage band where our only concerts were inside garages.
Yeah, alternating between our garages.
And, my garage and yours.
Well, Steve, I know you. I looked through pictures, and so I know you had at least like 3 different guitars over the course of the band that you played with.
I did.
The Tom DeLonge signature is beautiful.
I did.
Yeah, you had that seafoam
that
green one.
I did. That's a nice guitar. I still have it. None of my guitars, my electric ones, are in good shape. Unfortunately, my hands sweat quite a bit, so the rust
He is a very
not good.
sweaty man.
Very sweaty man. It just happens. Genetics, I guess, or awesomeness, one or the other. I started out. It was a Fender Mexican Stratocaster, and then from there, let's see, I think the Tom DeLonge one came next, and then after that, I had an Epiphone Les Paul knockoff.
Didn't I take you to the store to go get that one?
It was H&H before it closed. That location closed, and then they all closed.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, that's exactly where that one came from.
Yeah, I was there when you bought that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, and I think you guys came. I don't know if you guys were with me, but I remember the pawn shop on Fry Road is where I bought that red.
I remember that. Yep.
That red Ibanez bass guitar.
And then it was the other pawn shop on Fry Road that you got the amp that you used.
Or maybe that one was the one on Mason Road. I know there was like 2 different ones we alternated between, but
yes.
Yeah, so it was. That was the bass guitar that carried. I still have it, although now one of the tuning heads is broken on it, so I have to get it fixed. But I still have that bass guitar, and then it wasn't until college that I got a Cort brand electric bass, and then just this past February, if you were paying attention to our social media earlier, Max and I had a little jam session, and I was playing on my new acoustic bass guitar that I picked up over my birthday earlier this year. So
very cool.
Yep. So and then also want to give a shout out to our friend Devin. Because she, along with Steve, did some of our early mixing on some of our demo work.
We used her Fostex MR8 for most of our recording, and then.
But before that, Steve picked up like a 5-track cassette player tape thing at the pawn shop that we used,
and pieced together all kinds of other random hi-fi like gear you'd find in your stereo, and tried to use that.
Yeah, as long as we're talking about gear, Steve, you can probably shed a lot more light on this than I can. But I just remember you had, near the end of Offbrand, you had like a mad scientist room. I think it was your sister's old bedroom of like just all like every piece of recording equipment that you could like find or borrow.
Yeah, Steve spent a lot of time on eBay.
I still do, but that room grew and grew and grew till it basically exploded, and by that I mean my parents just couldn't take it anymore. Like it turned into having like a full 1970s console in it with 2 reel-to-reel tape machines and a whole bay full of outboard gear, which started from the Offbrand days where we had that little Behringer mixer and a cassette deck. But yeah, I took over her room, and it was wonderful until it wasn't.
Right. As I kind of mentioned earlier, we do still have some of our songs surviving. I don't know how feasible it is for us now to be able to all listen to a track at the same time, or is this the part now where we say, let's go to a break and play one of our songs?
Yeah, let's go to a break. Which one do you want me to put in here?
So, do you want to just start? Which one, guys? Which one?
I wouldn't mind hearing Prime again. That was kind of our go-to.
That was our hit.
Yeah.
So do you want to go with the original version of Prime or the newer extended version of Prime?
Wait, what? There's more than one?
I don't remember.
Right. Well, remember our demo one was shorter, and then when we auditioned for Follies, we had to make it longer.
Oh, I would think the shorter one probably. I don't know, Max.
Well, no, but the newer one sounds better.
Oh, does it?
I think we got to hear the demo one. I mean, I'm interested to hear the other one, but I think we got to hear the demo one.
I'm scared.
Okay, so I guess here goes the original version of Prime.
Max, I'm itching to hear a drum solo that started this song.
Did it? Oh man, I can't like.
You remember? It did. It was like, and then the song, and then the guitar started in there.
Oh yeah.
I reminisce and tuck it well, 'cause that's when I fell in love with you. Began to chat. You were more than welcome out with a $1,000,000 smile. After a little
It's like
conversation,
30 Football meets Cheshire Cat.
after our first kiss,
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Cheshire Cat
jumped
for
the
sure.
line, wait the
Yeah.
fine, feeling fine because of you. And on our first date, I was hardly to my surprise, my heart raced to see you in that black dress which I knew was safe for me. I forgot the rest of the night, so I felt alright with you in the backseat. Jump the line, wait the fine, feeling fine because of you.
Oh, we're all over the place on timing.
It's got like Nick's meter in there, yeah.
Special photos of her just for me. Give a kiss with more than glee. But is this all wrong? Is my dignity gone? But is this all wrong? Is my dignity gone? Have I jumped the gun and all let off blank? Giving her my class ring. Jump the line, wait the fine, feeling fine because of you. Jump the line, wait the fine, feeling fine because of you. All because of you. All because of you.
That's the thing where you changed it in the ears.
All because
I
of
mean,
you.
what now?
On that last part, all because of you, it starts
Yeah.
off out of both channels, and then you would go to left, and then you would just go to
Oh,
right, and then it would
yeah.
come back.
Well, you have to do all that magic in the studio.
Right. It's easier anymore. It might be goofy.
So that was the demo version. That was the extended version.
No, that was the demo version. The only difference with the extended version of it, because I think when we were getting ready for Follies, it was like, the chorus is a little too short. So all we did was repeat it. So jump the line, wave the fine, feeling prime because of you, and then we would just repeat it, so it would be a little bit longer.
I think the main thing I remember when I hear Follies is that we were right there. We were setting up, we're all nervous, and they're like, we're like, do you want us to play this like we're gonna play it like live? Like, do we want us to jump around and be entertaining? And they're like, sure. So we're just like in a room with random people sitting around. We're just jumping up and down, yeah, and we looked like idiots.
Yeah, no, it was
And that's when, because I remember Tree was the other band. I think that was Sylvester Sanchez and like Landon O'Brien and Trent Carl, because they did like this metalcore sort of sound, and I think they ended up getting into Follies that year.
Oh yeah, they were a lot harder than
didn't.
us. No,
Yeah.
we did.
No, there were 2 years, I think, because the one I remember was we were all in the orchestra room, and it was
Yeah,
like
it was the
literally-
orchestra room. Oh,
literally
Yes.
like
Keith
5 other
Latham
bands.
did like a Doors cover with
Yeah,
a
yeah.
band,
Yeah,
and they may have gotten on.
yeah, and we it was like all 5 bands like were set up like in a circle, and they just
And-
had us
Yeah.
all go around and play.
Yeah.
I will say, Keith and Ben and some other guys did a quite good cover of the Roadhouse song, or
Roadhouse?
or Roll Baby Roll, maybe, I don't know.
It was some Keith
Doors
was
song about
Keith was
about a
perfect for
roadhouse,
it, so he
but,
nailed it. So
Yeah, no, they did a good job. So
Yeah, they were good.
Well, so let's see. So I mean, thoughts on Prime. I can say I remember that song. The lyrics for that song came about because I was talking with a girl from the Katy High School choir. Morgan was her name. So back on the days of AIM, I was talking to her, and I was super into her. I thought she was cool. Nothing ever came of it, but I can say that she was the inspiration for me coming up with these lyrics for this song. Obviously about somebody who's very much in love, but then is like, oh, am I rushing things? But just happy.
And then the drums answer that question for you, yes.
Yeah, but the drums also started that, so I mean, they opened pretty heavily. So you gotta thank the drums for the whole scenario.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, Anson? What did you think of that?
No, yeah, I like it. I definitely remember the songs as you sent them to me. I remember you were like writing the lyrics and everything, and I remember being your. Sometimes you would honor me by sending me your lyrics and be like, "Hey, what do you think?" And I would read them and stuff and give you comments maybe. But
yeah, because Anson and I would email like back and forth every day after school because that's how we got homework done. Is like we would just email each other back and forth, be like, "Hey,
wait, so y'all cheated?"
This? No. No.
What?
Breaking news.
Breaking news. That's how they got their high school. They passed the answers through email.
No. But yeah, no, I have a note here about going through old emails. I know at least on my SBC old Yahoo email, I can probably go through and look at lyrics that I had written, but I don't think they actually became songs, most of them. The only other, I think I wrote a song, lyrics for a song. Was it like Symphony Number 5 in C minor is the name we came up with because we wanted to sound
that was
cool
the last
and
song
fancy.
we wrote.
Was it?
It was, and you know what's funny is that not too long ago I fell into, and I don't remember how things in an old CD, 2 songs. One of them was that Symphony Number 5 in C minor, which was just all over the place. I mean, it changed like I mean, you can say that a song has like a verse, a chorus.
Do you have a copy of it?
I don't know. It was a while ago. I don't remember where it was. And it's almost like it had like 5 bridges or something because it would just change direction in the middle of nowhere. And I think I remember that we decided we wanted to write it for the sound guy for Cardi's because we thought it was a lot heavier than what we normally do. And we liked him.
He was a cool guy, man. He was nice.
Yeah, Ruben, I think, is that his name?
Ruben! Yeah. Ruben from Cardi's 2000.
And I was trying to remember his name earlier. But the other one on that was also The Division, which that one actually I know Max wrote the lyrics to. That was one of our our sadder songs.
Yeah.
And I think of the recordings that I have, I mean, I like Prime, and I remember also writing the lyrics for Backstabbed as well. But I think, and maybe Max can go into this, but I know Max did write the lyrics for The Division, and I think they're some of the most powerful lyrics that we as a band ever came up with. So, what was the inspiration?
Well,
for
that's
the
very
song?
kind of you. No, I mean, yeah, I think the main inspiration was high school angst and feeling bad about my lot in life. I mean, my parents were divorced, and I guess it was kind of about that. But
that's what I pick up whenever I hear the song.
I made it sound a lot worse than it really was, probably just because I was a dramatic teenager. But no, yeah, that was pretty much what it was about. Complaining kind of. But no, that was honestly one of my favorite songs, just for the music. The riff that Steve came up with was extremely.
Yeah, and Steve. I mean, I know listening to recordings of us long ago, Steve kind of had a much higher pitched voice, and then if you listen to Steve now in recordings of songs, it's gotten a little lower. But I did like how, at least on the acoustic version, Steve worked his lower register, and so when you hear the acoustic version of The Division, it sounds it just works. And I know that was the percussion on that was just me banging on an acoustic guitar. I didn't have an acoustic guitar at that point, a bass guitar at that point, so I think it was.
Well, y'all did an acoustic version of my song, and you didn't even let me play drums on it.
Yeah, sorry.
Hey, Max, if it helps, I don't remember this, so
I think we were just it was Steve did the guitar, and then I picked the guitar up from Steve and then just did all the bass. I like doubled it with the bass parts, but like in the guitar register. And then I just like I remember using like my thumbs and I was just banging on the guitar to get the percussion sound. So do you want to have a break and a listen to the acoustic version of The Division?
Oh my God, you guys have it?
Yeah, I have. I told you I still have these songs,
Max,
and I emailed them.
Max, I'm sorry we kicked out the band temporarily for this song, and I don't know why that happened, but here we go.
I still expect my royalties.
Oh, yeah.
All right, it's pulling up now.
Offbrand 2005, front hook, baby.
Oh, that's called a hype man, Max.
That was our brief foray into hip-hop.
Again, a metronome was our weakness.
My strength was in pitch, not in time.
How could you do this to me? You pulled the wool over my eyes so that I couldn't see. Close the door, turn out the light. You do anything so I couldn't hear you fight. It's not right to do this, to pull me out of happiness. I sit here in my room, wondering how this could happen. You can't do to us
So angsty.
to everything else.
It's missing drums.
And put us in different cells. So now I've got 2 lives, 2 homes, and I've got nothing to call my own. I take a look around and everything I know is falling apart. It's not right to do this, to pull me out of happiness. I sit here in my room, wondering how this could happen.
Oh, here's where the metronome broke.
It's not right to do this, to pull me out of happiness. I sit here in my room, wondering how this could happen. It's not right to do this, to pull me out of happiness. I sit here in my room, wondering how this could happen.
So Max, when you wrote it, is that how you thought it was going to go?
Yeah, I have the other version too with actual drums, but I just thought if you had never heard the acoustic version, I like the acoustic version.
That's fun. I don't remember that at all. It's quite different from the real version.
The angst did not disappoint at the very least, but
it was
Oh man.
So yeah, I mean, I like I said, I think The Division was probably one of our strongest original, was probably the strongest original piece of music that we wrote as a band.
I feel like it was one of the only things that was actually rooted in real emotion. I mean, not that anything else wasn't, but it was all about high school problems with girls, and this was like, a real issue.
Yeah, I was listening. Now, I was on a Blink-182 trip on YouTube a couple days ago, and so when I listened to songs like Stay Together for the Kids, like, this was like our Stay Together for the Kids.
Well, and I think we knew that when we were trying to make the music to it as well.
Yeah, I think I probably was at least subconsciously borrowing from that song as well. as anyone who knew us at the time would know, that we pretty much were just listening to Blink-182 around the clock during these years.
Yeah, and a number of our... I mean, I remember spending many summer days printing tabs off the internet and trying to learn how to play the bass parts to, like, pretty much the entire repertoire of the Blink-182 catalog.
Oh, and the good one was always Carousel, that bass part.
Yeah, that was a fun one for me to learn.
Kurt and I were jamming to Carousel.
Yeah, if you watched our Facebook Live video earlier, we tried to recreate some of that magic earlier.
Oh, nice.
It was amazing how much just like instantly came back.
But yeah, I still remember that beginning hook of their of how Carousel begins. I know we Damn It was another one.
Yeah.
All the Small Things.
What's My Age Again? We did.
What's My Age Again? Right?
Rock Show. Asthenia.
Did we played
Asthenia at one show.
at my garage in the summer.
Did we? I thought
because that was when I had gotten the big bass amp and I could put on those weird
that was long before Asthenia. Yeah, because it said like ladies men on it, but as in hyphenated, ladies men instead of ladies.
There's a photo of that was for our first Cardi show. But no, we did a summer garage show in my garage, and I remember we played Asthenia.
I remember playing Asthenia in a slap together show.
We did AC/DC's Back in Black.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Of a different show. Steve, do you remember this one? We actually Kurt was out of town, I think maybe, and we actually had Devin, who Kurt was talking about earlier, fill in on bass. And really, the best thing about the show was that Steve and I spent probably 2 days building a PVC air cannon to blow out a bunch of confetti at the end of the show.
Wait, you guys played a show without me?
Yeah,
I do remember that.
A song without me, so.
No, I don't remember this, so that's why this is news to me. I'm surprised.
No, literally, yeah, you were out of town or something.
Was it the summer? Was I at a relatives or something?
Yeah, we decided we wanted to go ahead and play a show. And honestly, I think that the air cannon may have been actually the reason for the show.
I think that was the main influence.
Steve and I built this, and we decided we wanted an appropriate situation to set it off.
Where was this show?
It was in Steve's backyard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome, and I wasn't even there.
I don't remember. I think there's maybe 5 people there, but they can fit in the amount of patio furniture my parents had, so it was a small amount, but they definitely got their confetti, so whatever.
I remember the only backyard show I remember was a girl named Rowena, and we played her birthday party in the backyard.
Yes, and then she vomited constantly. Well, and what's funny is I think they were just it was her birthday party. It was a high school backyard party, and I thought it was only O'Doul's going on there, but I know that after we got finished playing the show, she just kept vomiting in the kitchen sink.
Oh, well, I don't remember that.
I remember that. Well, because Rowena was my sister's friend, so I was, I think, more heavily involved in that one than you guys were.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So we went through covers. Oh, and we also did. I know this is when Steve really started getting more into the obscure punk music as well, like Total Chaos and Lower Class Brats. So I know we did a cover of Orphans Don't Run. Max mentioned it earlier. That. We had a pretty solid cover version of Offspring's "Got to Keep 'Em Separated."
That one was
probably
fun.
My favorite cover to play.
Yeah, because you got to do your little Egyptian.
Yeah, a fun guitar part. It started out with this drum intro that was involved playing on the hardware of the drum kit.
Did we ever do?
We played that at Cardi's a lot. I think we played that at every Cardi.
My parents do. Yeah, we did. And actually, I think we were at home the other day, not too long ago, and they actually had that videotape going. And there is some footage of Cardi's in my parents' house, and I do remember watching.
The DVD. I know I had a copy of it at some point. It's been I don't know where it is at my house. But do you guys still have the footage?
No, but you just reminded. We edited a whole DVD thing together, an intro. Maybe by intro I mean it had a title. And there was something like that.
Yeah, Ruben did that for us because I remember our first show. He told us because there was security cameras at Cardi's, and it's oh hey, if you $60 or something, I'll do it like a DVD recording. I remember my dad was like, sure. And so it's like, it's security camera level kind of quality. But still, we had it.
That's very punk rock to.
Yeah, well, in a metal club. And it was so, and going to that, like, we're like teenage pop punkers in a metal venue. And Ruben was like cool.
Yeah,
so it was a little scary.
Anyone who's not from Houston, and even if you are from Houston,
it was like South 59. Scene. It was in the southwest corner of Houston.
Yeah, it was a little bit like a rough area of town, but these guys were super nice to us, and they would let us go play shows like early in the night, and like. I think we felt like we were playing like big cool
And I
shows,
remember our first Cardi show was in December 2004, and one of the photos that I shared on our social media, I think Samid came, like Samid's band At the Window came to like support us and stuff.
Or no, they I think one of the first Cardi, I think they might have been the ones that told us about Cardi's. I think because I remember there was one show we did where they played before us, but I think they're the ones that turned us on to Cardi's in the first place. If I'm not mistaken. Dead silence. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Did we lose Kurt and Max? Y'all still there?
Hello?
Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Okay, well, Anson, here's where the show gets really good. Don't worry about a thing. All right, we're going to carry this. It's going to be all right. I'm just kidding. We'll wait for them to come back.
That's okay. I'll put in another song break or something. We'll see. We'll figure it out.
I'd completely forgotten about this track.
The only song that ever had our bad word in it, which was the female dog word.
Lady Canine?
Yep, exactly. Maybe you'll be able to hear it. Yeah, I'm just thinking. So before all the troubles, Steve? What were you talking about?
Oh,
House of Me told y'all about the Cardis, or
yes, thank you. I did not remember what I was talking about. I was about to go on another tangent. Yeah, I think that I remember playing cards with them the first time we ever did it, so I think that they might have told us about it. Like, hey, there's this club, or they're metal, but they don't care, and they'll let you play there. So let's give it a whirl.
Yeah, I remember. Steve, maybe you went with me, but I remember going to Fitzgerald's downstairs and watching At the Window play. Or were they upstairs?
I was there.
Or did they get promoted and did they get to play upstairs?
I remember them playing or seeing them downstairs, but I also know that they played upstairs as well.
Right. And that was also the summer of 2006 is when I went with Steve, and that's when I met 30 Foot Fall for the first time, and then got to be their friends because I was a nerd, recorded their shows, put them on YouTube, made DVDs for them, and that's how I'm friends with all of them, and that's how I got to go on stage and get cool shots of them and stuff, and so and then that's how I got to be friends with them, and they graciously, Butch said, it was cool for us to use Sabine Street Bridge as the opening song for the podcast. So
yeah.
So the Offbrand started all of that. So thanks. I was just while that song was playing, I was thinking of any other cool songs that we had written or covers we had done. I remember we wrote a song in the same, not in the exact same emotional vein, but when my great Aunt Helen had passed away from cancer, I remember writing a song that we did. And I remember we played it at Steve's church gig. It was Goodbye was the name of the song.
Yeah, that definitely rings a bell.
Yeah, that was the Paradise song I was talking about.
Paradise. In Paradise.
Oh, yeah, she's going to Paradise. Yeah.
She's going to Paradise. Yeah, and there was a line in there about, did this world cause your cancer? What is the answer? Or something like that. Yeah, so I remember that song.
I remember that song. I don't think we ever even recorded it.
We may have done like a tape recording, so I would have to check with my relatives in Fredericksburg to see if there still exists some sort of evidence of that song.
I know somewhere there's... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think maybe there is a recording somewhere because now that I think of it, I remember me and Steve were hanging out, and we were laughing one time because we didn't have a pop filter for the vocals, and so it sounded like Kirk was saying Pebadice.
Oh, yeah. So.
It's very low budget.
Yeah, so I mean, I know I wrote up this whole thing, and we've just kind of been going all over the place. But having our first gig ever at Max's garage for his birthday, and it was rainy. To us, having plenty of shows in garages, and eventually moving into a metal venue, and having the church gig, and eventually having Luke Devlin. Write an article or include us in an article in the newspaper, which I shared on Facebook.
This is the high school newspaper.
Yeah, the high school newspaper, the Rampage. So to you guys, what was it like being in the band? Because at least for me, being that naive teenager, I was like, yeah, this is something we could really do. If we worked really hard, this is something we could legitimately do.
Yeah, I think, I think some of the stories we've told so far have alluded to this, but for, what I would call the glory years of Offbrand, it was really like more of a lifestyle almost. I mean, even when we weren't practicing, like I was over at Steve's house, and we were either like building confetti cannons or, I remember, Steve, do you remember this? We used to, plan like what kind of yacht we were going to buy when the band got
or a train car.
Yes, I think we were sitting in the backyard and we drew plans to one.
4 plans.
Was it a yacht or was it a train car? Because I thought we were going to travel by train.
Well, I know that
definitely did yachts at some point.
We had a yacht, and I think there was some. We definitely drew in. We had very, very, very minimal floor plans, but one of them involved some sort of stripper pole that came out of the floor or the ceiling. I don't remember, but I do remember that was involved.
Oh, man.
As a high school boy dreams of.
Yeah.
Right.
Or, playing.
Yeah, did we think this was going to make us popular with the ladies? Like, I thought, I was already enough of a, one of the quote-unquote smart kids and a choir kid, so that I've already had 2 strikes against me. I thought maybe this would make me cool, but...
Well, isn't that why you joined a band?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I was always kind of the off-brand passenger. Steve and Kurt had the real ambitions for it, so I was really there just for a good time and for the chimichangas that Steve used to cook up for us.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God, the changas.
Schwans.
Yep.
Yes.
But, no, man, it was, they were a real good few years. It was a lot of fun to play music with you guys, and even though it probably wasn't as good as we all thought it was at the time, but
no, and I think
that was.
I don't know. I think me and Max might have felt this more than Kurt did, but I guess toward the end of it, I think it was definitely something that had a time span, and it was almost us just living vicariously. Like all of our heroes were musicians; they were doing this thing, and of course, at that point in time, there was MTV, like some sort of behind the band scene thing, and like it looked really cool, and that's what we all wanted to do, and we kind of not really did it, but we imagined that we did it, and I think that was the fun of it.
Right.
Yeah, I think so. Very much the dream of of the band, and just kind of the brotherhood and camaraderie that came from downing a pack of Red Bulls before our shows.
Oh yeah, we used to at the party shows.
The meeting in the minivans.
Yeah, Steve or Max or someone would bring like a 4-pack of Red Bull. We'd each have one Red Bull, and we would all split the last Red Bull between the 3 of us.
And we do it in the back of the minivan, like it was our green room.
Yeah.
I think one time we actually did it inside Cardi's, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. But I remember just being super pumped full of energy. We would just be like, let's go.
It's probably why we never played on time. Was that we
all
already...
of our nerves are just shaking.
I think I probably had a Red Bull before we recorded that demo.
Yeah, probably so. If not, it was the Chimichangas.
So yeah, overall it was, I agree with the sentiments that it was a camaraderie. We were all very close friends. I mean, I consider myself friends with, anyone who I was associated with at school, but if in my high school years, if I had to pick my closest friends, it would have been Steve, Max, and Anson. Like for sure, all 4 of us together, but certainly you 3, were some of my closest friends, and helped me formulate and set me on my trajectory onto my path. So I'm certainly appreciative of that.
Yeah, and I think just really this is going to sound so cliche, but just really inspired the love of music. As I mentioned earlier, when I joined up with Steve, I didn't actually even play drums, and over the course of that journey, I became, despite what the demo would suggest, a fairly serviceable drummer, I think, and I continue to play till this day, and it allowed me to make other connections all throughout college and beyond, playing in other bands. So, for that, it was just because we were all. So Steve and I both played the trombone in school.
Yeah, I still have mine.
And I hated the trombone, and I didn't like band. But this taught me that music could be fun, and it really gave me a lifetime hobby and lifetime passion. In fact, as Kurt mentioned, we're sitting in my house, and I've got a whole room here dedicated to just my drums and guitars and stuff. So to this day, it's a really, really important part of my life.
That's really cool.
And Steve,
what?
And Steve, your thoughts?
So first of all, I think I was the lucky one because I didn't actually have to change any instruments. Like Kurt played guitar and sang, but he had to learn how to play bass, and Max had to learn how to play drums. Somehow I lucked out in that one and didn't need to change anything. But I was in charge of the recording of it, and again, it started with that little Behringer mixer. I think it was like $130, like 4 channels. But it started my fascination with audio, which is what launched my career today. And so that's I have that to thank for it. I don't know if we didn't have Offbrand, if I didn't get the chance to play with a lot of knobs and buttons, that I would have a career in music today, but. Yeah, it worked out in a way. I think, yeah, it's good.
So, and Anson, as a position of support, being our webmaster and stuff, what was it like for you to, you were part of the band, but maybe not one of the core musicians. So, what was it like for you, kind of seeing the course of us over those couple of years that we had in high school?
Yeah, I gotta agree. I have some great memories of just being with y'all and stuff. The 3 that kind of come to mind is, one, I would go over to, because I played double bass, like classically trained, starting in junior high, and so I would go over to Kurt's house, and he'd have all these, tabs printed out on music, and he'd be like, okay, this is the song I've been learning. Hey, I'll watch him play it, and I'd be like, oh, why are you playing that note that way? Like, just play it up 3 frets, and it's the same thing. And he was like, oh, this is how the tab's written. So we would like haggle over the best way to play these Blink-182 bass lines and stuff. And thankfully Kurt tolerated me butting into his business. And then the other memory I have is at a garage band show, and our friend, Kurt was always trying to get me to be hip and to appreciate the culture of the day, and same for our friend Kieran. And Kieran was at one of these garage band shows, and they were like, oh, what song is this? And Kieran was like, oh, it's Rock Show by Blink-182. And we were like, oh, what? Kieran knows the Blink-182 songs? And, so
I think I have photos from that show. I was looking through old photos. Didn't Kevin Crawford come to it too? So there's a photo of us posing where it's you, me, Kieran, and Kevin, and we're all looking like nerd cool or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the last memory I have is, I think it is, you have in the notes here, you had a gig at Steve's church, and I remember, was there like a big blow-up house there and stuff? It was like some festival or something? Or
yes, there was
like
a bouncy castle.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. That was fun, just because there was lots of people there. It was like our families and some friends, and it was just fun to like be outside and to like enjoy this, this concert and everything. So I had a lot of fun doing that, and the webmaster stuff. I went on to make a little website for our like high school German club, and I got involved in like graphic design kind of in college for fun, making like concert posters, and now I'm a software developer. So it was a little brick in the wall leading me towards my current career too, and so I really enjoyed my time, and I have some great memories of Offbrand also.
So do you guys remember what actually forced us to kind of just gradually draw the curtains on Offbrand? Because I was trying to think of the reason what led to it.
Again, I think it was the restraining order.
Aside from
by that time, Steve had restraining orders from pretty much everyone. So
I still do.
No, I mean, I think Kurt going to college was. Probably
because did we stop by the summer of 2005? Because I remember we had a Cardi show, which was like our last one.
Yeah, I really think. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say that I remember our last show was a Cardi's show in 2005.
So going back to the timeline, I really think that it was sophomore and junior year for Max and I, which would definitely mean that you left to go to college, and I think that's kind of when we fizzled out and. It's things happen. People take different paths, and life happens.
Yeah, so it wasn't like one of those things where I was trying to keep the band, even though I was in San Angelo. Like, guys, we're going to practice.
Well, you were, but it just didn't work out. I do think I remember. It's like, well, hey, let's play this show. Let's do this practice. And it's like, well, just things happen. It just didn't work out.
Yeah, and I think Steve and I even started playing with another bassist for a little bit. But, that kind of fizzled out as well.
Okay.
We did. Wait, we did?
Yeah, with Sean.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I can't remember his last name. He's a nurse now, I think, or a doctor.
Sean Hickey.
Yes, Sean Hickey.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a fancy pants guy now.
Yeah, he played bass.
He did. Yeah, it was.
He did.
It was more. We definitely took the pop out of the punk for that band, but
that band I think had like I do remember. I do remember he wrote a song in my downstairs toilet while I was waiting for the UPS driver one day, and I think that was like one of 3 songs we ever had to work with.
So I guess maybe to wrap it up. This kind of last point I have here is. So what did this experience help you with in your personal and professional lives? I know we're all still friends, and maybe some of us haven't talked to each other in a while, but like the experiences that we had in high school with this band, even if we were star in our eyes, naive, thinking that this was going to skyrocket us to be playing Warped Tours and all kinds of other things, but what did those experiences? What did you take away from them, and like how have they affected you now in your lives?
Yeah, I mean, it's just as I was saying earlier, the the love of music and the just the ability to sit down at a drum kit and play with a group, really helped me. In college, I went on to make some money. Playing at a church, so that was nice. And then also played with another group of musicians and just did cover shows and that kind of stuff, just for fun. So, it really set me up to have the lifetime love of music, and I think it just sort of kind of I think it's good to dream and sort of have your eyes up at the stars sometimes, and this. Dreaming about playing Warped Tour and having yachts and all that kind of stuff was just kind of showed me that even though this band didn't work out, we could we could do something to this day have the creative aspirations and all that kind of stuff, and I think a lot of that's down to Offbrand and the seeds that planted.
And Steve, for sure. I mean, you have quite a story to tell now.
Yeah, it's a long story. It's some of it's not appropriate, but I think I very much agree with Max though that it definitely, I think we learned to dream and that just work at it. I mean, necessarily we didn't get anywhere with Offbrand, but we definitely learned to come together and work towards something together. And, shortly after Offbrand, I started playing with Brett Johnson, just kind of recording more of a 60s style music, very Beatlesque. So it very much taught me to play with people. And, I've played people since then, just things that it's been very therapeutic to always know that you have music as something to express and just let out things. And then, on the technical side, obviously the recording aspect from Offbrand got me a career as a sound engineer in audio, which I'm still doing today. So it's, again, I don't know.
Are you allowed to say which band?
Sure. Right now, over the past 7 years, I've been touring with Eli Young Band. We've done stadiums, arenas. We've done, and a lot of it, it's a little different when you get to this point and you see the music industry from the inside, and it's something that I'm very glad I've seen, and I've gotten to travel a lot and see a lot of things, and that's really cool. I wouldn't change anything. I don't know. that's my thing. That's my story.
And Anson, like you were kind of alluding to earlier?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my life's interests have been kind of bouncing back and forth between like music and technical stuff. I went to school for music education / it became music theory later, and then I went back to school again for computer science. And I think just recently, I was telling Steve this earlier when we had the internet outages, but I've been playing in a local community symphony, just for fun. And getting back in touch with my music side has really been like special to me, and making sure I keep playing regularly, even if it's just like Christmas gigs and little community orchestra and stuff. It's fun to keep your hobbies around and reconnect with that part of yourself. And I like what Max was saying about having dreams and everything too. It's inspiring. It's kind of silly, but I sitting here listening to all these stories and half of the things I didn't even know about. It's pretty cool, like what y'all did, in that time. You did something. You got together with some friends and you did the thing. So it's cool. So.
I know for me, certainly, the big thing was, learning the Mark Hoppus way of playing the bass guitar. So I'm not as good with the finger plucking methods of bass guitar. But I learned the tablature, and certainly it helped to improve my abilities in choir, which that led me to Angelo State. And, got my undergraduate in music. And while I was there, I got to play bass guitar in a band that formed there. We were called Not by a Long Shot. That one didn't have the same levels of success that we had with Offbrand. I mean, I know we recorded like 2 songs and we played the college talent show, and that was about all we were able to do. But I was still able to keep that spirit alive. I got to play the bass guitar maybe in some choir concerts, like at the Halloween Spooktacular concert. I was dressed up like Frankenfurter, and I played the bass guitar on a version of the TV Munsters theme song, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I kept playing bass guitar in like the church choirs there at the cathedral in San Angelo for a bit, and would still play. But ultimately, I think it got me to join Phi Mi Alpha Sinfonia when I was at college, just instilling that love of music. And just from there, it got me to brand Kurt Plays Bass as my handle for most everything that you see on the internet, even my Twitter handle. But yeah, no, Offbrand just will always have a place in my heart and my memories. And I hope maybe not to the extreme of the SNL skit where the punk dads at the daughter's wedding get together and then they play like a punk gig at the daughter's wedding and they like smash the cake and knock over chairs and stuff. But maybe eventually at one of our kids' weddings, maybe we could do something fun like that, or just, maybe offline work together to try and find a time to make some music again. I think that'd be fun to do. But I'm thankful for everything that we got to share and experience. And like Steve said, I wouldn't change a minute of it. So yeah, thanks.
Cool.
Yeah.
If there's nothing else, I mean that's. Thank y'all very much for coming and joining us for this very special episode of Blank Tape. It's been great to have y'all here.
And this episode is sponsored by Schwann's Chimichangas. Honestly, the beef ones, I think we didn't like so much. The chicken one's a little bit better if you're interested in really getting into that info.
And chicken really got the good spice, and the beef was...
Oh, yeah. The beef was a little watery.
Perhaps
so
of questionable origin.
Yeah, if you're wondering which chimichangas to get from Sam's, it's the chicken ones. So now, all right, that's enough from our sponsors. Back to Anson.
Use our code. Don't forget to use our special code BlankTape18 to get 20% off your first order with them.
Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing if they actually did that. I was going to say, can we get a sponsorship from Eli Young Band? Can you work that out, Steve?
I cannot. There's like 8 levels of management, and I'm the technical one, so no.
Well, I guess go listen to Eli Young Band and help keep pocket money going for Steve.
Yeah, and also I can't stress enough the chicken chimichangas.
Okay.
Yeah, well, y'all have a good night, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, this has actually been a lot of fun. It's been an honor to be on your podcast, and it's good to talk to all you guys again. So have a good night, and
we'll all get in touch.
Yes,
jam again
for sure.
Ride.
All right, groovy,
baby.
Groovy.
Was that? Did I hear a chicken? Or
I had some trouble with that.
Steve missed his cue a little bit, but
Hey, do y'all remember the little chicken wings, the little teriyaki chicken wings too from Schwann's?
yeah.
yeah. Or your
Tyson's.
Your dad's
No.
venison sausage.
Yes. Oh yeah,
What's the brand that you keep saying of chimichangas?
Schwann's. The Schwann's delivery truck.
Yeah, the
How
truck
do you
would
spell
just
that?
come around and you would just buy stuff off.
I think it's SCHWANS, if I'm not mistaken. And
I
was
think
just-
it might be a double N. I'll Google it right now on my phone.
Yeah, actually, you might be right. But it was just this like tan truck that almost looked like it was ex-military for the Irish or something, and it would like drive around, and it would just
Yeah, because you would get the food and there would be like dry ice, and that's how we would play with the dry ice.
the fog. Yeah.
Steve, we didn't even talk about airsoft.
Oh my God! Yeah,
We'll do a follow-up episode. Don't worry. We'll have you guys back as guests.
Part of being in a band was just shooting your best friends with fucking guns.
I almost shared the quote unquote like promo band pictures we had. We had a photo where we were in Steve's black car. We had airsoft guns. We're all leaning out of the car like we're trying to be in Grand Theft Auto.
And we taped all the orange tips off. And actually, I think I went through and showed somebody those pictures, and you could see a tiny little screw over the license plate. And the first thing they said was, "Well, at least you screwed the license plate out. That's good." It's like, thanks.
Yeah, I did that. I put like black over your license plate.
Oh yeah, but it was like the worst, like blurring. Like it was just paint, but like just barely covered the letters. It was like great.
I think I did it in like MS Paint or something.
Oh, it was definitely paint. It was.
Okay, so it's Schwann's, I think, with one N.
MS Paint was another big sponsor of Offbrand.
Yeah.
All right, so are we good to stop recording then?
Yes, sir.
All right, stopping. 3, 2, 1, stop.
All right, 3, 2, 1, stop.